Hi, and welcome to the AI Transformation Podcast. My name's Jonathan. I'm your host, and you may notice as you watch this was originally recorded as a 91-day success podcast, which was the old name of our podcast. We've pivoted over to AI to better serve you and to address the needs and questions that you've got. And just wanted to let you know, you may see a little change there in the name. We're now the 91-day AI Transformation Podcast. Same process, same basic guests, but more of a focus on AI instead of just on business success. Thanks for joining us and enjoy this podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 91 Day Success Podcast. You're going to notice something a little different today. We've got 3 of us here. How cool is that? We're not just interviewing one person, we're interviewing 2, and this amazing team of Josh and Tersh, or Tersh and Josh, however, which way we're supposed to go first, but we'll go alphabetical. Guys, I'm really excited to have you both here today, and I want to give you a chance in a moment to really talk about what you guys do and who you serve. And we've got a lot to talk about today. But one of the things I want to lead off with is, Josh, you just shared the other day, and I was blown out of the water. You guys just got news from Inc. 5000 that you guys are in the top 250 for this year. Tell me just a little bit about that. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, like I mentioned to you before this, I was actually a little shocked myself at the number. I knew we were on the list, for a while, and then they kind of like do this whole big lead up thing, and then they do their 15-minute like pre-recorded video, and then you kind of like sit there and your number pops up on the screen, and Brittany and I, my wife and I were kind of like, well, what do you think the number is? And Brittany's like, like 3,000 or 4,000. I'm like, okay, well, that's not bad. I mean, like kind of hoping a little higher than that, but I was hoping like 1,000 to 1,500. I saw the number on the screen. It was kind of surreal. It was our first year that we were eligible. So it's been quite a ride to get here. And Tersh has been here, even though he's not part of Relentless Digital, kind of feel like he is, because we talk literally every single day, all day long. And we have a few other things going on together. But it's been quite a ride. So thank you.
Well, congratulations on that. And talk to us a little bit about who you guys serve. You guys do, I know, an amazing podcast and a bunch of other things together. I don't want to limit that. Talk to us a little bit about what you guys do together and who you serve.
Tersh,
who wants to go first?
Sure, I'll take some of that. So we are glutton for punishment. We have multiple businesses, and as soon as we get one operating pretty smoothly, I feel like we start another one. And so, or that's the way.
There's so many cool things to do.
There
is,
and,
absolutely.
We recently started Trade Automation Pros. So our target audience is contractors and skilled trades, technicians, managers. So I started the podcast in 2017 ish. I think it was 17, might've been 16. The days, it's in the past now, but
understood.
It's been a long time ago. Started the podcast and, it was really before video podcasting was a thing. Before it was like I was having a phone call really with individuals. I started the podcast because I have a speech impediment and learning disability, and I just had this crazy fear of talking in front of people. And so I started the podcast way back then, and I had no idea that it was going to morph into what it is today. It really was a way for me to connect with people that I wouldn't have been able to connect with otherwise. And I didn't realize that's what it was when I first started it, but then it quickly opened doors for myself and eventually Josh to be able to meet just like the VP of Johnson Control is a friend of ours now. We have best-selling authors that are like we talk to on the phone all the time now. Like Mike Michalowicz is a good friend of mine. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mike Michalowicz. Who wrote.
Oh, I love his books. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and it's because of the podcast that Mike and I are really good friends now. We actually hang out. And so it's like, that stuff would have never happened without the podcast. And I was doing it. It's a passion for Josh and I both, but it turned into work for me at one point. And whenever your passion turns into work, it just does not, it no longer is fun. And
no doubt,
that's when Josh, actually, it just by happenstance that I was like on autopilot where I was like, here we go. Like another Wednesday recording. And Josh reached out and he was like, "Hey, Tersh, would you teach me how to do podcasting?" And I was like, as a matter of fact, if you would come on the show, I'll show you everything. You can be my co-host and we'll just, you can get the good, bad, and the ugly on all of it. And so he was like, "Are you serious?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm done. Like I'm burnt out with this stuff." And so it was funny how that happened at the same time. And Josh and I didn't really, like, we knew each other for over the internet at that point in time, and we had met in person. I believe, Josh, we had met in person a couple times,
like 6 months prior to that, and it was
Okay.
we were in the same coaching group.
Yeah,
and we met at a planning event.
And so that was the first time. Like, so we had never worked together or anything like that, and I didn't know if it was going to just be a hobby for both of us or whatnot. And it turned into the right people got the attention. We got the attention of the right people, and they were like, "Hey, you need to be doing more of this." And we're like, "Hey, we both have full-time jobs, and this is really just a hobby for us." And they said, "Well, if you had some financial backing, could you make it into like a better production?" And we're like, "Yeah, we'll take your money." And so that's kind of where it took off. And that was about a year after Josh came on or something like that. I feel like, Josh. And we had our first sponsor on the podcast. And then we were like, okay, we kind of probably need to take this a little bit more serious. And then that's whenever we really started talking about automation and stuff like that. And Josh and I we've been nerds when it comes to automation for years. I mean, even when we first met on the internet, it was about automation and Zapier and everything else. And so then naturally that's what progressed into TAPS, which is Trade Automation Pros, teaching, business owners how to do, how to automate their business using, like low code or no code tools, plus a mixture of AI, and really be able to automate a lot of their business. Oh, and so for me personally, I also have 2 HVAC companies, 2 plumbing companies, and an electrical company as well. But when we talk, we usually focus on AI and automation.
I love it. Well, again, that's one of the things I wanted to chat with you guys a little bit about. Most of my audience knows I'm an AI nut. You guys know I'm an AI nut. But you're one of the few people I see really pushing that specifically in the home services industry. And I know you do it outside of that as well. But talk to me a little bit about why did you guys make that pivot? Why did it seem natural? And as a follow-up, what type of response are you getting from the home services community as it relates to that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been Tersh and I have talked about it for so long, and every time we bring it up in a conversation, whether that's through a client of mine or it's just a mutual friend or someone on the podcast or something, people are like, "Man, I would love to do that. I would love to save my time. I'd love to learn how to do this thing." And a lot of times I think, especially with AI, since ChatGPT has come out, I think a lot of people want AI for things, but in reality, they want AI married with automation, because they don't just want to like have to go type something in and then copy paste and then try to edit it. And they want something that flows really naturally, like taking a blog post and now you syndicate social media content through all the platforms, because at the end of the day, we only have so much creative energy. So let's use it and focus on the things that we really are good at. And that's really where a lot of our focus is to try to teach that stuff. Plus, Tersh and I have pretty much used any and all of the CRMs in our space. So we are able to take their API documentation or their webhooks and teach people how to use that stuff. And I think that's been a big benefit too, is not only do we teach like the more general stuff, which maybe like social media or something like that, but it's how do I use the specific data in my CRM? And then we have a community that meets once a month on a Friday. And then of course a school group, because I feel like that's the cool thing to do these days, is have a school group ever since Alex Hormozy got involved, and focus there and just constantly try to put out information. Like literally our Facebook groups are constantly just trying to give free education, tips, tricks, celebrate the wins. I will say the home service community is harder to get on board with this stuff. They love the idea. They don't want to do it.
Yeah.
That's what we found. And that is as we talk about the course, and we see these comments over and over again about people that really want to save their time. They really want to learn it, but they don't really want to do it themselves. They just kind of want to know enough to like, okay. And then, okay, this is what I want done. Can someone do it for me? I'll pay you.
Yeah.
And,
makes sense.
Or they don't know where to start. Like that's a common thing with the contractors whenever we're talking, even in our group, our school community, they're like, all right, where do I get started? And for me, like Josh and I, we say this all the time. We give, keynote speeches. And one of the things that when you get that look, that's like the deer in the headlights where, all right, I don't know where to start with this stuff. I mean, this is really cool. I love, you're doing AI auto response to Google reviews, and, you have chat bots with other things. Like we built out a chat bot with our handbook, with my company's handbook and the chat bot. So then if anybody has any questions about anything in the handbook, it's only going to pull that information out. So it doesn't pull this stuff from the internet and everything else. And then you say that to contractors and like, that's really cool, but that sounds really complicated. Like, where do I get started? And so that's honestly, we created this little spreadsheet, Google sheet, and it's just, I think it's, what is 75 or so?
75 right now.
Ideas, just quick start ideas with templates on Zapier. Where to get started, like just, oh, that's a cool idea, like let's automate this marketing thing. Well, here's a template for getting started doing that, and we just give that spreadsheet away, because that's honestly the biggest pain point, the analysis paralysis. You just are like,
absolutely,
so much, I'm not going to do anything.
No, and I see that a lot. One of the things I was going to ask you guys about is what are some of what's a quick hit that a home services company can look at integrating AI and automation together that's going to save them some time and not be like climbing, Mount Kilimanjaro to get started either. It's going to be something easy. It sounds like that spreadsheet's the great place to start. I know you guys have got a course as well that we're going to talk about, but where, for that home services company listening, or even the non-home services, what's a quick win that a business can get nowadays from your perspective, combining AI and automation together?
Well, I think one of the easiest ones is the AI review replies. I mean, I know people even offer that as a service now, where they set it up for you and pay a small monthly retainer and stuff like that. But quick little things, like honestly, I was that person. I had to answer reviews at Professional Services, the last HVAC company I worked at before starting Relentless. And I would get so far behind on those because I hated doing it. I literally to the point, like, tried creating different automations to answer the review replies, but without the AI, the large language models understanding what somebody was saying. Trying to come up with some sort of reply was difficult. So I did it for like 5-star reviews with no comments and some of those things, like things that were pretty easy. And I could just kind of rotate the replies. That was like my first foray into them. I'm like, man, this is great. Like when someone leaves a 5-star review with no comment, I'm like, what do I say back to thank you? Like, what do you say? There's no like, thank you, Jim was great. And then you can say, oh yeah, we love Jim, and stuff like that. But, easy things like that. Honestly, one of the other ones, and this is a big focus of Relentless, even Tersh and I talk about this a lot, is marketing automation. Yeah. There's so much stuff. Like even today, like I have like a tennis elbow thing going on. I've been trying to get into a orthopedic specialist to do like just work on some different muscles around the group, and stuff like that. But I can't get a call back. I got a referral.
Yes.
I've left 2 voicemails, and I'm like, man, imagine if they had a voicemail text back solution and could text me back, and then somebody on the other end would at least answer the replies and stuff. But I find the problem that we have these solutions and stuff, and we set them up, the automation fires, the first text goes out, they get a reply, they don't have somebody to manage it. And they don't appoint somebody to be the person to manage that thing. And it's like, this is the way people want to communicate today. They do not want to call. They just don't. Like, I would rather book online. I'd rather text any business. Like, I don't want it throughout the with our calendar and stuff. Like, just text me. I'll text you back whenever I got a chance. I don't want to sit on a phone for 5 or 10, 15 minutes. Like, just
exactly.
So I feel like marketing automation is one of those things that is definitely people think about more, but there's more. And that's what we're going to be talking about here in the fall is really using AI and automation to enhance your customer's journey from start to finish and understand what that looks like, because I don't think that gets mapped out enough for any business, not just in the home service industry, but businesses just don't map it out. They don't understand what their customer is feeling at this point, and then this one, and then this one, and then try to set up things that can really help enhance that journey that they have with your company.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. It's something literally, we're going through at our company right now. And that's what we do, is just revisiting the entire customer journey. What's that look like? And how can we help add the most value to them through that process by addressing their needs, like you said, as they come up. I love that. That's great.
One other thing, Jonathan, about that, what you mentioned there with the client experience is the wow factor after the experience. So after they've experienced, say, you're an HVAC technician and you're an air conditioning technician, and you've gone into the house and you've served them properly. You've done everything you can to just exceed their expectations. But then the call's done, and most of the times that's it. Like you're done until it breaks again. There's no other interaction. Getting that 5-star review, it's very challenging in itself if it doesn't happen right in the spot. It's something like 80% of the people won't leave a review if they don't leave it right in that moment. And I'm one of those people. I have every intention to leave in the review, but if I don't do it right when I'm having the exchange, a lot of times, I think there's probably only been one time that I've gone back later and actually put the review up, even though I know how important it is to have that. But one of the things that we've done with automation wise is sending out gifts after the fact. And these are delayed gifts. So that way they're still thinking about us. So if it hits a dollar amount threshold, then it automatically triggers for gifts to be sent out of different levels. So honestly, there's one where we have a massage therapist, and so if it's above, I think it's $10,000, so basically an HVAC system change out, it triggers Mary, and it's just a workflow. It triggers a workflow to notify Mary. Mary reaches out to the homeowner and says, hey, look, I want to help you de-stress during a stressful time. And basically she comes out, gives a mobile massage. But that's just like one of those things where as a business owner, I don't even know what's happening, but then I'll get these crazy reviews, or I'll get this conversation on Facebook where it's like, I was blown away by the fact that, they came out here and they offered a massage. We actually have Jared, who is the president of the Savannah Bananas. I don't know if you ever heard of them. They're like,
I have. I don't know them, but yeah, I've heard of them.
So we're in Savannah, and I've been friends with Jesse and Jared, the president and the owner of the Bananas, since day one, since they moved to Savannah from North Carolina. And Jared's wife was pregnant. We changed out his air conditioning unit, and Mary reaches out to his wife, and she's like, is this a prank or something? Like, she's super emotional because she's like 8 months pregnant, and they have Mary's like, yeah, as a matter of fact, I have a prenatal service as well, certified for prenatal and everything else. And she's like, this is exactly what I needed. Like, and then so she's crying, calling her husband. So Jared's like, what's going on? Like, because she's just an emotional wreck because she's overwhelmed with emotions. And she's like, it's not a bad thing. They send out, they're sending out Mary, and she's just, perfect for exactly what I need right now. And so now Jared's going around the country giving keynote speeches about the Bananas and their experience and the wow experience that Bananas give, and the fans first entertainment type thing. And he's including how his wife felt after their air conditioning unit was changed out. And so to be able to share that kind of thing, like that's, and for me as a business owner, I didn't have to do anything to make this client experience happen, other than you set it up once, and sure, that
Mhm.
process might take a little bit to get set up. Once you set it up, then it just happens automatically, or for the most part, automatically, as long as your triggers are, are able to set up that way. And then you're getting this amazing feedback from these individuals, and you didn't have to do anything to make it happen. So, I mean, it's one of those things where, like, if you can dream it and just make it a reality, and then
Mhm.
because you're using tools that are automating the process, you don't have to manually do because when we first started this, we did this manually, and it was almost to the point where we had to hire another person in the office just to fulfill all of these thank you gifts to every single person, because it's as small as a package of candy in a basket with a mug, like a Yeti
Mhm.
cup, to as large as something like Mary coming out. So it wasn't just that one thing had to be automated. It was, or had to be followed up with. It was a lot. So using the automation literally did away with having to hire another person in the office just to handle the follow-ups.
How do you guys deal with the businesses that go, okay, I love this idea, this is great, but you start talking about Zaps and making all these other tools, and I feel like I'm looking at a cliff that's 1,000,000 feet high. I don't even know where to start. How do you guys? Is that part of what you guys cover in your course, or how do you guys teach people how to embrace that? Because I know a lot of business owners, technological or not, just have never really taken a look at that. How do you guys handle that part of it?
Yeah, I would. So when we created the course, we wanted to make sure that we had like a how to find ideas type of thing by going through, like, literally part of we have homework after all the
Hmm.
main course lessons of write down the tools that you use. Now
Hmm.
go to Zapier, start putting them in the search bar, scroll down to this section. You can see like the most common use cases. Just get those ideas flowing, because I think once people see the ideas, they start they start being more interested, because then they see the potential of that time savings
Absolutely.
and what that outcome is. So that was definitely something that we wanted to have in the course, was a focus on, like, at the very base level, get all the tools, write them out on a piece of paper, good old
Yeah.
fashioned piece of paper, start typing them in, see what's available to you. And then we can start having more detailed conversations about how to connect things, or how to do filter steps or pathways, or all the Zapier tools that are available to
Hmm.
us that we need. Because sometimes it seems really easy to do something. You need, like, just like, man, something's just not quite right, and you need a separate tool for that. But that's stuff where we can come in, we can help as a community, and they can just give us
One
the ideas.
one of the things that I want to add to that is what we tell people is, anytime you do something twice, maybe it's 3 times, like, or maybe in your organization it's 4 times, but if you're doing a single task multiple times, let's figure out how to automate it. A mentor of Josh and ours, as his name's Ari Mizell, and we've been talking about writing a book with him for the trades, because he has an amazing process that is optimize, automate, delegate. So, like, you need to optimize the process, and once the process is optimized, if you're still doing it multiple times a day, or multiple times a week, then you need to automate it. If it's not possible to automate it, you need to delegate it. And a lot of times people don't have any idea that the automation can be done, and especially can't be done with AI. And so, like, even I was watching my wife doing working on payroll, and I was like, Julie, my wife's name's Julie, by the way. You're doing this stuff, and you're married to a guy that just talks about automation all the time. And my rule is, anytime you do something twice, like, let's figure out how to automate it. I'm watching you do payroll, and you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. That is the most monotonous stuff in the world. And she was like, well, I didn't know you could automate this stuff. Because, I mean, literally, it was like copying an Excel sheet and then duplicating it for each week. I was like, just write a script that creates all of that for you, so you no longer have to duplicate it. And she was like, what is the script? I was like, ask ChatGPT. And ChatGPT literally wrote her a script. It created the duplicates. Well, then she was like, yeah, I might have messed up because I duplicated all these worksheets with each week, but I didn't put she wanted to change the formatting at the bottom of
Sure.
it. So she didn't want it to say like the year, the month, the date, because she was like, this is just for 2024. I can take the year out. That's less things I have to look at the bottom. She was like, I'm just going to redo a whole nother workbook. I was like, no, tell ChatGPT what's going on. And she was like, explained it the exact same way as she did to me to ChatGPT. And it said, well, here, add this script to it. And so then she adds the script. It deletes the 2024 from the bottom of the thing. And she's like, oh my gosh. Like, I thought I was going to manually have to go into every single one of those worksheets, the 52 worksheets, and manually remove 2024 or just start over. And I was like, look, just if you have any question at all, ask ChatGPT. And it's so much so that now neither one of us find ourselves asking Google anything. We're either asking, Claude or ChatGPT, and like it blows my mind. It's like almost when I go to do a Google search, I'm like, oh man, I forgot how bad this is. Like now I have to actually read. I have to do research myself. Like this is for the birds.
No, I totally understand. And I'm really glad you brought that up because I wanted to transition into some of the tools that are out there. I know when people ask me, I'm, still a big fan of, start with ChatGPT. It's a great place to kind of get a feel for how things work and to learn what you're doing. But personally, I'm a huge fan of Claude. And I'm curious, do you guys ever use Perplexity along with that? For those that are listening, I know you guys know what Perplexity is, but those listening, Perplexity just deals with what Tersh just dealt with. Instead of giving you 10 websites like Google does to go research, Perplexity actually gives you the websites, but then it researches them and summarizes the results and gives you the answer you're looking for. So like you said, if you're trying to figure out how to do something in a piece of software and it's brand new, let's say it's newer than the cutoff date for ChatGPT or Claude, Perplexity will go find that online. It'll write your SOP. And I must admit, I do that all the time. What are some of your favorite tools that you recommend, either that you're using or that you recommend, the people you're working with utilize, like ChatGPT, Claude, and things like that?
I'll let you go, Josh.
Yeah. I mean, the most common ones that I use when it comes to automation, because a lot of the automations we do are with Zapier. We use either OpenAI or ChatGPT. I don't believe Perplexity has. I look, and it's been a couple weeks since I've looked, so it could have changed. But I don't think they have. I think Make has something with Perplexity where you could throw it into the automation.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Make. Like I like the potential there, but I just always run into issues, and it's probably user error.
It's definitely user error.
We're in the same camp though, Josh. I get it. So
okay.
Tersh, you need to teach Josh and I how to use Make because I get frustrated with it too.
Well, I get frustrated because when I get to a certain point, because I've done some stuff and then I test it and I'm like it doesn't really give, like Zapier is really great about giving you where things are problematic, what step and exactly what happened. I know sometimes the error codes are a little weird, but Make, I just like, it doesn't give you anything. And I'm like, okay, this isn't testing. So how do I know if it's working?
Mm-hmm.
But so Perplexity, I don't use Claude as much. I use Claude when I want to write something long form.
Okay.
And I also use it actually for our AI chatbot that we have for Relentless Digital. We use a mix of Closebot, but we use with Anthropic, their API, not OpenAI. I've tested both. Claude just does a better job with conversations. Like it seems to like it. I feel like, it's sometimes the first one to the party is the one that's loud, and it makes, it's got ChatGPT is great because it has a lot of connections with a lot of things like Google Drive and all that kind of stuff. But I feel like Claude, they've focused on the quality of the product and the testing environment of the information that they give it. And I just feel like the outputs are better. The problem is you can't, it doesn't scrape the web. So you kind of got to if you can't have it scrape a website, at least not to the best of my knowledge, maybe
no, not yet.
Yeah. So it's like, how can we otherwise you got to mix multiple tools to get certain
Right.
things and then throw it into Claude. And then, so you're kind of still manually moving stuff from piece to piece. But I like Claude for long form stuff. Anytime I write some long post or want to do a blog or something that's longer, I will use Claude.
Makes sense.
So moving away from like the large language models specifically,
Please.
some of the tools that I actually have, and I'll look on my browser as well while we're doing this. Cast Magic is one. Are you familiar with Cast Magic?
I'm not. No, I'm going to open that in my browser and go, what's this one?
Boy.
Yeah. So
we just opened up a whole new world for you, Jonathan.
Yeah. Cast Magic is great because it saves a lot of your prompts in there. And like, if you're a content creator, Cast Magic is great because, like, say we have a podcast episode and a lot of times, because we usually live stream our podcast, we have to have the title beforehand. But if not, you can throw it into Cast Magic and it's going to give you 10 different titles, and it's going to format them the way you want it to be formatted. It gives us a show notes, like fully written out show notes with links and everything else. A YouTube description. It gives you
the videos,
timestamps for the videos,
social media posts for like and that's the beautiful thing, because there's a community. It will take the things that you normally do or ideas from other people. It can create the tweet for you. It can create the YouTube description. It can create a blog post, a newsletter, an email to your audience. Like, it literally, you put one audio file. I think it's audio or video. You put a file in there, an MP3 or MP4, and it's literally will do it all for you. And it takes 15 minutes. Now we don't.
I can tell you, I'll be signing up for that in the next 20 minutes after this podcast, because my newsletter is still due today, and yeah, that sounds amazing. Cool. You guys just made this as well for me.
Yeah, you're gonna have to let us know what you think, because we love it.
And it creates like slugs for your, like, if you have a website and you're making blog posts, it'll create a blog post, 5,000 character blog, however you want to set it up. Really, you create custom prompts for it, and the prompts that you create don't have to be like, you don't have to be a prompt engineer to make them. Like, they can be very basic, as long as you give it an example. You give it an example of what you're looking for, then it goes, like, it's very consistent every single time. A couple of other tools that I want to mention real fast. If you're looking for AI reports and automation and that, like, we use Wink reports, and I'm just starting to play with that program, but it seems to be a really cool program. That basically is focused on reports and stuff like that, smart reports. And then Bypass AI. Have you ever tested that out?
I have not. I'm not even heard about that one. I love this. I'm learning brand new stuff.
Bypass AI is actually a great program. It rewords all your stuff so that it passes all of your AI checkers. So
now that's a good discussion. We should really. I want to pop into this since you brought it up. I don't want to interrupt, but I get people asking me all the time in my group about, what about AI checkers? And I will readily admit, my perspective has been they're total piles of steaming poo. They don't work. You put the U.S. Constitution in it, and it tells you it's 85% written by AI. I just went through this with my son.
The book of Genesis was done the same exact way, and it was like, oh, this is AI written.
I feel like the Bible, someone did a test with that, like that, or the Declaration of Independence or something. It was like 99% AI or something like that. It's like,
yeah. Well, that's why I'd love to get your guys' perspective on that. I mean, that's just, you guys know me, I'm opinionated, and I don't mind sharing those. That's my opinion about stuff. I'd love to hear from your perspective, though. When you mentioned bypass, it's like, okay, is that relevant today? And this may even be a little bit broader, because do people really care whether your content was written about AI, or do they care whether your content was helpful to them?
I think
probably two different questions.
Well, no, I agree with that. The thing that I don't like, as someone who avidly uses AI, is when somebody just is lazy and they just like hit the copy button and paste it, and then it's got all your asterisks and all this other stuff, and then they just post it. And then like every single post has like all of these emojis in it. And it's like blatantly obvious that they put no effort into adding value to that. And it's very fluff and not like, I don't want fluff. Like one of the things that I put inside of ChatGPT to know me was don't add emojis, don't use quotation marks, don't add unnecessary information, and always make sure that this is on a 6th grade reading level comprehension.
I love that.
And so that way it doesn't use these crazy big words that nobody ever actually uses. You know, it's going to keep it very simple and easy to understand. And because that's the way I really talk in real life is I'm very simple-minded. I'm a South Georgia boy.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I appreciate your perspective on it. Like I said, it's just something that comes up all the time when you mention that. I'm like, okay, I got to jump on this before we go too far. I agree with you. I think the big problem are the people that go, oh, AI is going to be able to do all this for me. And they spend 12 seconds typing a prompt and then go, good enough. And then the audience reads that and goes, no, not good enough. That wasn't helpful. That didn't add value. Like you were talking, Tersh, you didn't train it at all. You didn't give it any perspective as to how to sound like you, how to use your tone and style, which is all, as we know, it's all very easy to do, but it is a step in the process. And if you skip that, what comes out, you know, garbage in, garbage out type of thing. So
it's setting up the AI and setting up the back end of things is just like when you're building an automation for your company or your home life, like bill pay. If you're not using bill pay, take the 10 or 15 minutes to set up your bill pay. And then your like all your stuff can be done automatically. Your electric bill can be paid automatically. You know, all this stuff can be done automatically. One less thing that you have to do in your personal life, but it takes, you know, 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes to set it up initially. Same exact way with ChatGPT or these other programs. Like, set it up in the back end, let it learn you, and then you know, go from there. I mean, I have an email autoresponder that I built. I built this thing a long time ago, like when ChatGPT first came out. But then like now I've got an assistant API that has learned me. Like it's using a lot of my data, like my writing styles and stuff like that. So when you get an email in a response, unless you're Josh, you probably can't tell that it's been written by AI.
Makes sense.
Because Josh knows me very, very well. He knows my antics. Have you heard of 11 Labs?
Oh yeah, I use that all the time. Love 11 Labs.
That's a how about HeyGen?
I'm familiar with it. I don't like it as much. For video stuff, I tend to go with Syllabi, just because we do so much avatar-based video. It tends to work well. I'm sure you guys can relate to this, tied to AI and marketing. One thing every business owner hates to do, it seems like across the board, is to get on video. And yet video is an incredibly effective way to do things. Now, HeyGen's got a lot better. So I probably should go back and revisit it. I haven't looked at it in probably 90 days. But what do you guys like for AI video stuff?
Well, the only reason I was bringing that one up is so I've tested. I have a AI avatar. I did the whole like, you know, talk for 4 minutes or whatever, and you know, do the hand motions and stuff so it acts like it's me. It is still kind of weird to think about. Like, I think at some point we're at the point where like we don't even have to be in Zoom meetings and just have like a VA like off camera just type for us, and it would like talk it in our voice. It's kind of wild to think what the future holds there. I mean, these note takers today are like really good. Like
they're unbelievable.
Like Tersh and I, if we have some kind of partner meeting, one of us can't make it or whatever, the notes that get sent, I'm like, well, I pretty much know what happens, so it's great. Like I was like there, and I only took me 2 minutes of skimming the notes here. Same thing with YouTube videos with Harpa. I love Harpa. Harpa's great at taking a long form piece of content or a video and like getting me to the point of time stamping. So I'm like, okay, I want to listen to this section, and then I'll listen to more if I want. But it gets to the point where I can get to the meat and bones versus all the fluff stuff, the stuff that's like, okay, like yeah. Get me to the point of stuff that I can actually learn something. And it kind of cuts down on some of that, again, wasted time. Because before we'd have to listen to an entire 20-minute video to figure out where everything is at, or try to guess and move the little cursor on a video. But now it's like, okay, timestamp, boom, this is what we want to learn. we can go right to that section, learn it, get out, and go do something else.
Mm-hmm. No, in fact, it's interesting you mentioned that on the note takers. So I recently joined a new coaching program and haven't had the opportunity to hop into any of their mastermind calls yet. But I was pleasantly surprised literally on Saturday when I happened to open my read.ai and I realized that the 2 calls they had last week that I couldn't make, I now have the recordings of, I have the transcripts of, I have everything else. And I was able to literally just go in and so tell me about the main things that I missed. And within 30 seconds, I was able to determine the parts of that call that I wanted to go listen to and catch. And while
Instead
it
of
would have
being
been
on
better
there for an hour, you could.
yeah, I mean, it would have
learn
been
in
better to
5
probably
minutes.
have been there. I wasn't able to be there. We were busy closing on a house last week and selling our house. So I couldn't do that. And the ability that I didn't miss it, I don't have to trust what they're going to tell me. I don't have to go back and now watch the whole replay, which is available. I literally can go get those snippets and go, okay, this is the part I needed to be aware of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, huge stuff. I love that. Outside of ChatGPT, you guys mentioned some really cool things like Cast Magic and that. What are some other maybe untraditional AI tools that you recommend people use or that you guys are using?
I don't know if
Well,
I have any untraditional Tersh. I don't know. Tersh sends me tools all the damn time. And I'm literally like, dude, I do not have the bandwidth to look into one more tool. So Tersh probably is better at answering this question than I am.
I mean, have you heard of Avoca and ZyraTalk? And I know there's one other one, but I can't think of the name of it.
And Tersh, you were making me look like I don't know anything about AI. I haven't heard of any of those. Yeah.
So
there's so many tools. Jonathan.
Well, there are so many tools.
I mean, I agree.
You'll never be able to learn them all.
I mean, we've created a tool ourselves. I mean, it's called Phone Tap, and but the Avoca and ZyraTalk, we're buddies with the founders of both of those companies, and they are more trade. I know Avoca is more trade specific, and ZyraTalk I think is outside of the trades a little bit, but they're AI voice agents. So
love it.
They are like Air.ai. They came and went a little bit. I don't know. I don't see them quite as often as I used to, but
nor do I.
These are more of the trade specific AI agents. And so we actually use them in our company. So after hours, we don't have a call center anymore. It's just Sarah, our AI agent. She answers the phone call, and she'll look into our CRM to see the availability and can actually book a call based on the availability of our company. And so like that wasn't able to be done before. And also she's very consistent, like saying our name correctly. And, you know, if there's any issue, like AI has issues, like there's times where it'll, like Josh has an example that's great to talk about, because just to be aware that it's not it's not a solution to every problem right now. It's still learning. And to think about how far we've come in a year, 2 years is just mind blowing. People are like, we're going to have, you know, AI bots and stuff, like physical, you know, bots out here doing things. And other people are like, oh no, that's like 50 years, 100 years down the road. Have you seen what we've done in a year, 2 years? Like it just, every 2 weeks is something else coming out. That's some other tool that's just wild. Like for us, I'll let Josh talk more on this. But the Phone Taps, which is a platform that we've created, and it's doing real-time call analysis on phone calls. Should it have been booked? For us and our industry, we are always, as I'm on the contractor side, Josh is on the marketing side. I'm screaming at Josh, hey, I need more leads. I need more leads. Josh is screaming at me, I have sent you 1,000 leads. You're only booking 500 of them. I'm like, yeah, they're junk leads. You're like, okay, well, let me find better leads. And then it's like, this program listens to the phone call and is like, oh no, that should have been booked. Like, and here's the reason why it should have been booked. And then it sends it automatically to the CSR's, you know, manager or the owner of the company and say, hey, reach back out to this customer because that call should have been booked. It was a missed opportunity. So then it's less of me screaming at Josh and more of Josh saying, hey, look, you need to get your operations in order. And because the leads that are coming to you are quality leads. You just need to be booking them more, and not burning
Right.
through these leads. So that's a pain point in our industry that we found, and now we're solving.
We talked about the I don't know if it was before on this, but I was trying to book an appointment for my elbow and stuff like that, and these businesses don't actually.
Yeah.
I think that was on the show. It was live. I can't remember what was live and what was before.
No, you're good. You're good.
But yeah, it's wild how often this stuff happens. Like, I know because we have a human team right now, and we use CallRail. So CallRail has some features in there that speed this up with transcriptions and AI summaries and stuff. But what we really thought is, like, one, I have a team that is doing this, and because CallRail or any of these call tracking solutions will say the call was answered if they have this call may be recorded. Well, a lot of times those calls still don't get answered. That's just the initial greeting before it actually starts ringing the dial tone. So we have to go back, we have to edit that. And then the problem with that is we can't alert clients fast enough that they missed an opportunity. So how do we take the phone calls and quickly determine if it was a lead based on the information they give us and we train it on? And then from there, what can we automate from there? Can we escalate something to a manager in 10 minutes so that way we can still save that lead because it wasn't booked? And then, or if it was a price objection, maybe it goes to, general manager can talk like, oh, don't worry, we'll come out for a free estimate today or whatever, just to save the opportunity, because there's so much wasted spend. And honestly, a lot of Rilla is another great example of an AI tool. And this kind of all came about because Rilla it's home service specific, at least for right now. And I think they struggled finding their audience for a couple of years, but they had the technology to be able to go in, be on your smart device. So as I set this down on the table and I have a conversation with you about your HVAC or plumbing system, it takes all that information and analyzes it on the back end. So that way, because the old way of doing things in the trades was, if Tersh was my boss and I was the technician, he'd have to ride with me all day to see how I'm doing on the calls and if I'm following the process and all, where things are going awry. And now you can do that's literally their pitch, is like, he's done some crazy shit. Like, he had a video at like the game 4 of the NBA finals, and they were doing ride-alongs and coaching their technicians from afar. They were doing one in a helicopter, just crazy
skydiving.
Crazy stuff, like getting ready to go skydiving, and they're like doing ride-alongs and then they go skydiving. But that's where we got the idea for phone taps. Is one, our agency and a lot of agencies listen to a lot of phone calls, and they have team members that are outsourced, typically overseas.
Absolutely.
And they're listening to the calls. They're trying to get better reporting because there's things we just don't have insight on as agencies. And it's not that I want to push back. Let's say Tersh is the client. I don't want to push back and say, hey, you're stupid, your operations suck. I want to help them close more of the business that's there.
Exactly.
Because if they close more of what's there, they're going to love us even more. And then if there is a real leads problem, like we're really not getting enough leads, then we can point the finger when it deserves to be pointed at the marketing agency. So I think there's a huge use case for that. We're very close to having like our initial platform built, so that way we can start testing this and throwing some test data in it. But the goal is to not only analyze and understand the full disposition of these calls, but to automate and create tasks based off of that stuff, and also score your agents. Because listening to hundreds of phone calls all day was literally the way call center managers had to operate the business. They had to listen, they had to score the calls, they had to make sure the disposition was correct, and that was literally their day. And so you're spending good money on somebody to sit there and, like, you look at human like what humans should do. Humans like creativity, like something new, they like something challenging.
Right.
That is boring ass work. Like, it is not fun. I've done that stuff before for companies I've worked in. It sucks. Like, it is something I would not wish on anybody. So if we can, that's the kind of stuff that we should be looking for opportunities on. I don't think we're at the point of really trying to replace humans. I think we're replacing tasks that humans do so we can up level them to something else that's they can use their intuition and their experience on that AI can't touch yet. But I think that's where we focus on solutions that do that, and everyone's gonna be happy with their work, and we don't have to have to do some of this stuff that's just constant monotonous work that people hate. So that means they're in a terrible mood when they get home, and then their relationships suffer because they hate their life and their job, and it just creates this domino effect outside of work too.
Well, and I love that because that really fits into one of the things that I try to talk about a lot, which is AI is for more than just businesses. I mean, it should be for the team, because AI properly implemented is going to make those team members have a much, much better job, much more enjoyable job. They're going to be more productive. They're going to be in a better mood. They're going to like what they do better. There's so many ways that AI, I think, we often talk about it as business owners and entrepreneurs and how can we use it here? And that's great. And I love that. But I think the untold thing we're going to see over the next year to two is how just your average everyday employee can use AI tools to make their job better, to make it more enjoyable, to be more productive. Just like you said, I mean, imagine if that was your whole job and now you can have AI help do some of that heavy lifting, that drudgery, combining automations and AI. I love that.
I had a guy, fantastic. I was finished with the workout on a Saturday, and we went in the sauna at the gym. This was months ago. And he was, it's one of those things you start a conversation with someone, but you don't really want to talk. I just want to sweat. Like, I just want to sweat it out, the toxins out. And I started talking about AI just a little bit, and I opened the door for this guy, and he was using it for like all this real estate stuff, and he just kept going on and on and on about all this stuff. He was able to find these neighborhoods that they really wanted to move to, and the houses, and what it would tell them about the houses and the market and all this stuff. It's one of those conversations you're like, I wish I would have never said anything, but
yes.
People are using this stuff. They're using this stuff for all kinds of things in their personal life. And once you use it for one thing, you're like, try to use it for something else. Mm-hmm. Our 13-year-old, because we know kids in school these days are using it for homework.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now there's this, can't remember what it's called. So sorry if there's any teenagers listening to the show, I can't help you with your homework, but it's some math thing. Because normally math tools would only give you the answer. Well, right. Teachers want to see the work. Well, now it shows you the work and all the steps.
I love it.
And it will do every step, like these, geometry and all algebra and all this stuff.
Well, not just for students, but for parents, because like when I'm helping my kids,
thank you, Tersh.
I don't know what this. I took geometry in the ninth grade,
a totally different way than they taught it back when we were in school. Like the way they teach like addition and subtraction, even is like, what are you smoking? Like, this is not the way to do it.
My daughter's not just doing that, and I'm like, what are you doing? You're moving these. You're making this way more complicated than what it's got to be. And like, that's how they taught me to do it. I'm like, oof. Well, I can't help you then.
No, it's interesting to say. I just had a conversation last week. I was on somebody else's podcast on the education side talking about, what is a appropriate role in education. We could do another podcast on that. That could be interesting. Well, before we continue on, I'd like you guys to tell us a little bit about your course. You guys obviously are absolute experts when it comes to automation and AI and combining them. Tell us a little bit about your course. I know we've got a lot of business owners listening here. Trades or not, my understanding is your course works regardless of your business, even though you guys specialize in trades because that's your background. But tell us a little bit about the course and how would people find out more about that, guys?
Yeah, I'll go. So Trade Automation Pros, we actually don't have our website live yet. We're working on it.
We'll fix that.
So right now it's just a link to a school community, which we can give you. But the premise of the first part of the course is it's agnostic. There's probably references to the trades and stuff in there, but it's agnostic. We have people in our community now that they used to be in the trades in their business now. I think is what's Matthew's
insurance.
Yeah, he's in insurance. But he loves. He's honestly one of our most
active
members that is most active with ideas and thoughts and stuff because he eats it up and he's got team members that come on. But what we wanted to do is we realized that early on when we started talking about this course and we launched it is that owners want to sign up for it, but they don't necessarily want to get into the weeds, but they want it done for them. So we opened it up not only so you can sign up, it's $97 a month, but you can bring your team members and your team members can sit in on the community calls and your team members can be in the school community because even if you want to get a VA, like I think we have one or two members in that have a VA and the VA attends the calls and takes the notes and like asks any questions that they have. So that way you can outsource and get things done that you need for your business, but the owner doesn't necessarily have to spend their time learning because not everyone wants to learn this stuff. They know they want to implement it, but they might not want to actually sit through the call and learn how to use Zapier and learn how to use ChatGPT and all these other tools that we talked about. And I think that's when Tersh talked about Ari Meisel. So his book is called The Replaceable Founder. If anyone's interested, it's an easy read. Very easy to like listen on Audible. But that delegate portion, like Tersh said, not everything can be automated. So I think more business owners, and this is something that we do for literally every business we have has a VA, an EA, like that's one of our first things we do is the things that we don't want to do. Now, we waited very long on the podcast side to hire someone for this. We finally did. It has been freaking awesome. Like she is great. But every business we have has a VA or an EA, someone that can, and it's a virtual assistant or executive assistant. If you're not familiar with the acronym, but not everything can be automated. Not everything can be used AI. So there's fill in the gaps with that stuff. And then you really get the power of being able to delegate. And you also learn a skill to delegate, not wear all the hats, because we've all been there. Startup business, we wear all the hats. It is so hard. And those are the stuff. Those are the things that we teach in the course. Those are the things we talk about. We want you to have time back in your life so you don't hate your life. You actually get to the perks of business ownership and actually to enjoy and love your life outside of work.
And not only that, like our assistants, our EA and VAs, they are way better at those tasks than we are. So
absolutely.
They like doing that work. We don't like doing some of the things that we hand to them.
Exactly.
No, I think that's a really good point, Tersh. And I've got an EA and a VA as well. And you're right. One of the things that amazes me is I have these tasks that I need to get done, and I don't want to do them. Not because they're bad. I just don't want to do them. This morning, I do a morning kickoff every morning with them. And this morning we had a client that hasn't followed up with us on some stuff. One, I don't want to remember that. Mm-hmm. And they enjoy that. And two, I don't want to be the one to craft the email to go, okay, Tersh, we were waiting on this. We haven't got this. They love that. They love reporting on it. And they're candidly so much better at it than I am. Why in the world would I want to do that when I don't enjoy it? I'm not that good at it. And to me, it's one of those, can I put that off and not do that? Not because it's hard. It's just I don't want to do it.
Energy away instead of gives you energy. And
thank you.
Right over your, I don't know if that's your left shoulder. It's hard to tell, but Buy Back Your Time. Awesome book.
Love Dan
I've read
Martell,
that one twice. Like Dan Martell makes it so simple. Like he really breaks it down of like simple things that you can do.
You read it and you're like, why didn't I think of that?
I had so many duh moments in that. I'm like, oh, no kidding. Yeah, that would work. Mm-hmm. But it's so true. And again, it allows us as business owners then, and that's most of our audience, to enjoy what we're doing and to get to focus on the things that we love. I get to be on podcasts like this with amazing guys like you talking, as opposed to crafting, follow-up emails and going through spreadsheets to figure out where I'm at, because those things, like you said, Josh, those drain me. Those don't fulfill me. I know they're important, and it's not that I don't want to have them done. I just don't want to be the guy doing them. So
well, and that's why we open the course to members of their team, and one sign up, and we'll get your team members or your VAs or whatever in there, because we do realize that. And Tersh has a group every Friday he's met with for the last, God, I don't know, 3-4 years, 5 years
now.
Wow.
And that's literally been, there was their feedback too. It's like, hey, it's cool. I love what you're doing, but I don't want to learn how to do it.
I don't want to do this. I'm not learning this stuff.
Yeah,
they're running multi-million-dollar companies. Like the last thing.
Yeah, they've got other things they want to do.
Yeah. So I was like,
well,
this
put that
interesting
schooling
for me. But
we'll put that schooling down, because I definitely want to encourage people to check that out. And candidly, I think I'm going to sign up just to have one of my people go through that, because they could learn stuff from it. For that, it's a great investment. So I definitely want to do that. Well, one of the things I always love asking is, the name of our podcast is the 91 Day Success Podcast. And I've never actually, believe it or not, we've been doing this for, goodness, almost 2 years now. We've never actually had multiple guests on at once. I'm really looking forward to this. But one of the questions we always ask is, imagine you were going to either start up yourself. You guys have done that multiple times, or you were going to advise somebody else to start up. And you had a couple of constraints. One, your goal was to generate 10 grand in revenue in the first 91 days. So 3 months, 91 days, but you only had $1,000 to spend on the business or any profits that you generated. So Uncle Edward's not coming along with some check for $10,000. You can go, yep, I did it. I got my check. No. What would you guys do? How would you advise somebody, either in the trades and marketing in any business? What would you advise they do in the first 91 days? I'll let you guys either do a tag team approach, or you can do individual, but I'd love to get your perspective on what you would recommend. In 2024, using AI, leveraging it or not, what would you recommend they do in that first 3 months in order to really build a strong foundation to build that business?
I'm
Who
curious
wants
what
to go
Tersh has to
first?
say first.
All right, Tersh, you got nominated, so you didn't step back fast enough. You know how they do that when they need a volunteer and everybody in the line steps back? Yeah, I think that just happened.
Yeah. So Josh and I both are Air Force vets. And I think that's one of the things that Josh learned real quick was to don't volunteer for anything. And just voluntold me to do something else, which happens a lot. I would say, honestly, it depends on the personality. It depends on your personality
Fair enough.
type. If you're a salesperson, you can go one route. If you're a creative person, you can go a completely different route. If you have a comedic personality, podcasts, like you could make $10,000 in 3 months easily if you are comedic and you have the ability to stay organized. So that is a challenge when it comes to podcasting. You know this as well as us.
Oh yeah.
Being able to put the content out there once you've created it, and putting it on the right platform and all of that stuff. So, I mean, if you're really good at that, I would say that on the podcasting side of things, to start a trades company is a challenge because you have to have 10 years of experience to get your license on most cases. But if you could if you could bring somebody on who has their license, you could easily make $10,000 in 3 months. Honestly, I mean, the first thing I'd probably do is throw it into ChatGPT. Give me some 10 ideas. Here's my background. Because I believe there's so much. Obviously, Josh and I are serial entrepreneurs. We believe that you can make money doing a lot of different things. While I will say that at times some of our businesses were nonprofits.
We've all been there, yes.
Not by choice.
Not by choice. But I mean, honestly, podcasting is hard. Like it's not as easy as people think it is because we have great people behind us that make it look a lot easier than what it is probably. But we are at the point now where we're doing good money with podcasting. But I will say that that's not something that happened on day one. And our sponsors, our partners of the podcast, it took them years to understand the value of branding and all of that. So I think that the world is out there. They understand more so now.
If you have a skill, putting together a course, because most people have a skill by a certain point in life that they're really good at, and they just don't realize that they take it for granted that they're actually really good at that thing. That's what Tersh and I, we kind of took for granted for years, but then every time we talk about it, it'd be like, oh, that's really cool. Like, I'd love to learn more. And it's like, okay, we just got to sit down and do it and actually do the work. But for me, it's creating content. Like, if you got no money or little money, because you can hire video editors and stuff they'll do $15 a video or something like that, where that $1,000 budget won't get used up real quick. Right. But learn how to make content, because that content, especially if it's, you don't do like top tips for 2024, you do something that's evergreen. Right. It's going to last. And that's the stuff. I mean, that's allowed Tersh and I have so many opportunities with Relentless. You've seen it, Jonathan, I know, with just creating content, just keep creating content. People are like, oh, come speak, come do this, come do that. And you just keep getting asked to do stuff versus having to go pay to be on stage. It's a much nicer feeling when people ask you because you're authoritative in something versus, oh yeah, I'm a sponsor, and by the way, I get a speaking spot, but I'm not really that qualified to speak about this thing. So
it's weird having people ask us to come speak on AI and automation. Like we've talked about it for years, but now we're getting on the big stage and talking keynotes and stuff like that. And one of the reasons we created the course was because we did, I think, 2 or 3 keynotes, and people came up to us and were like, all right, whatever you're selling, we're buying. We're like,
we had nothing.
We're not selling anything.
Well, then we got to find something, right? Yeah.
We're not very smart business people that way. We're like, yeah, we probably should have done this before we started speaking, not after.
Yeah, but that's the reality of being in business. You have to pivot, you have to move, and you guys have demonstrated that so well. That's amazing. It's amazing. Well, guys, I've taken more time than I told you I would. I am so grateful for both of you for having you on and the things that you shared. I'm actually really excited to check out some of the automation stuff because while I know the prompting side really well, automations are not my specialty. So I'm the guy that, like you, Josh, I look at Make and then I test it out and I'm like, why is this not working? Never mind, I'm going to have my VA do it because I don't want to figure it out. So definitely want to learn more on that. You guys are great. If people want to reach out and connect with you, I would love to tell them what's the best way for them to reach out and connect with you guys.
It's probably for me, it's Facebook. Don't email me.
Yeah, he can relate.
Don't email me. I will answer my Relentless Digital email, but we have, with all these businesses, we have like 3 or 4 emails now. So like,
he doesn't check in.
I won't check them all. I have my EA check. Like, just tell me if there's something important I got to take care of. Otherwise, I'm not even going to check it. So Tersh knows email certain emails.
Yeah,
Facebook for me,
definitely Facebook Messenger. That's the easiest. Yeah, go to. Yeah, I am LinkedIn or email me Tersh at servicebusinessmastery.com.
So that way his AI can reply back to you.
I do read them before they get sent, but yeah, there's a chance that AI might respond to you. But the Tersh.co, not .com, but .co is .co, okay. My website, which has all of like my link tree and all of that stuff.
That's on another website we got to get live.
And Josh's is joshcrouch.com, or is it Joshua?
JoshCrouch.com.
Yeah,
we're working on the influencer things, Jonathan. You got to have like your own like website now. So we're getting close to having. We have like 3 websites that need to get launched here pretty soon.
Well, again, this is the reality. I want to. What's neat here, though, guys, is you're talking about the reality of what happens when you build businesses. And if nothing else, you guys have dropped so much value here. I want everybody that's listening to understand that you've got 2 wildly successful business people here, not counting me, talking Tersh and Josh, that are demonstrating that you don't have to be perfect out of the gate. It's taking that action. It's moving forward. It's that 1% improvement every day. In theory, how many business people have you met that they wouldn't have done anything because they didn't have the web page ready yet? Yeah, it'd be good to get it done. But the reality is you guys have already made so much progress and moved. You've been speaking on stages. You're speaking all over. Your businesses are growing because you took that action, not because you were waiting for perfection. And I want to call that out specifically because I think that's a really, really important lesson for everybody that's listening.
I appreciate you saying that, honestly, Jonathan, because we have we may look like we don't try and make it perfect first. We have definitely done some like waiting because we were like, this needs to be perfect. This course needs to be perfect before we release it. And then we release it and it's like, they don't care that it was perfect. Like they just wanted the content. And so then we could release more and more content. But there was times there where we probably waited 2 months before we released one course because we just wanted to make it perfect. And it was 2 months wasted, honestly.
No, good perspective. Good perspective. And you're right. My last course I did, I was getting late on. I wanted to get it released by a particular time, and I hadn't recorded some of the videos yet. I literally set up a tripod in my living room with me sitting in my easy chair and said, "All right, guys, we're doing." And you know what? Nobody has complained that that's where I was recording them from.
It's the most authentic. It's the most authentic. And I heard you say this the other day: is the authenticity. So I have a speech impediment. I will not get that word out. But being that authentic is it's way better than a polished video. I heard you just say this. I think it was this morning or yesterday. I heard you say this exact same thing. So I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, people want authentic. We struggle to get that. Everything is so polished. We want authentic. Well, it's one of the things I love about you guys. You're down to earth. You're authentic. You're great. If
you want a polished product, don't listen to our podcast.
Well, you guys have now spent the last hour with me. I don't polish this one either, and that's on purpose. It's I want people to see who we are. And I so appreciate the conversation we've had, the time together. Guys, you are amazing. Thank you for putting in more than the time I promised that to stay under, because we've blown that away. But thank you so much, guys. And let me encourage you, if you've stuck with us, reach out to Tersh and Josh, join their course, find out what's going on. I know I can already see some comments coming from people going, why are you promoting somebody else's course? You have a course. Yes. But guys, this world is full of abundance. And I want to encourage everybody listening here, have an abundance mindset. Collaborate with the people that are great in your industry, like Tersh and Josh. Don't be looking at everybody and going, well, I can't do that, even though they're really good, because that may, collaborate. It does wonders for everybody. Guys, connect, enjoy, make it a great day, and we will see everybody in the next episode. Thanks much, everybody. Bye-bye.